Hello everybody, my name's Dan Snow, I'm the History Guy. I am reporting to you from high above the Somme battlefield. This ground here, I'm on Thiepval Ridge. This ground here, 100 years ago now, was the scene of unimaginable slaughter. Well, unimaginable heavy gunfire before a infantry assault was made at 7:30 in the morning on the 1st of July. And the 1st of July is Friday, and the world's VIPs are going to be gathered down here. I'm high above. I've managed to climb to the top of this tower here. I'm not really supposed to be here, so don't tell anyone. Above me, flapping the flags of Britain and France. Allies on that day on the Somme. A big week, of course, in history this week for Britain and France. We are meeting here to we're gathering here to commemorate an extraordinary week in the history of the world, during an extraordinary week in the history of the world. I'm going to talk to you about the battlefield in a second, but let's go over here and look at some of the graves. Here we go. Hello in Yorkshire. So the Yorkshire Pals, lots and lots of Yorkshiremen, I mean thousands and thousands upon Yorkshiremen, just over there, attacking the village of Sayre, just up there. That's where the Leeds, Sheffield, Pals battalions got annihilated. Some of the worst casualties of the whole of World War, of the whole of the Battle of Somme on the 1st of July. I'm going to talk you through it, but first of all, we're going to look at these guys down here. Well, these guys, the King's Troop, will be firing their guns in 1 minute to rehearse. How's it sounding, everybody? Can everyone hear me okay? It's quite windy up here, but I've got a microphone on. They're preparing to fire. They're loading the guns. Thank you very much, everyone. Now, I should tell you that this is a commanding position. We are 43 meters up in the air here. There's a spiral staircase that goes the whole way. On this huge memorial are the names of 73,000 soldiers that were killed during the Battle of the Somme and have no known grave. This is a memorial to the missing. Did Haig send men to the slaughter? That's a very good question. They were slaughtered here at the first day of the Somme. 60,000 British people were killed, and Newfoundlanders were killed on the first day of the Somme. Killed and wounded on the first day of the Somme. About 20,000 of them killed. It's the single bloodiest day in the history of the British Army. Now we're going to count down to the guns. Stand by. Look at all the graves down there, guys. The monument was placed here because they wouldn't have to move many bodies. They wouldn't have to exhume them and put them somewhere else because there were so many casualty clearing stations on this spot that they put the monument where the bodies were buried rather than the other way around. Oh, have we got a... So, over there, I don't know if you can see, that's the Ulster Memorial, that's Ulster Tower. Just there in the middle of your frame now. That is where the Ulster Division, I think it was the 36th Division, where the Ulster Division was very successful actually on the first day of the Somme in some ways. They crawled right up to the enemy barbed wire. So they were 100 meters, well, they crawled right to almost the enemy front line, so they were 100 meters away from the German front line when the bombardment stopped at 7:28 in the morning on the 1st of July, or 7:30, and then they dashed forward and they actually occupied the so-called Schwaben Redoubt that was over there, one of the most defensive positions anywhere on the Somme. The Schwaben Redoubt was just over there. They occupied that. They actually pushed forward to the German second lines over there, but they were then, to a large extent, surrounded, ran out of ammunition, and were counter-attacked brutally and shot from machine guns posted on either flank. And that was and in the end ended up suffering appalling casualties. And I've been to an archaeological dig in those woods there, in the Ulster frontline trenches there, and there's amazing finds still to be made. If anyone's watching from Canada, particularly in Newfoundland, Newfoundland is just over there. The Newfoundlanders, about 90% of the men were killed within 10 to 15 minutes. We're talking 600-700 men killed or wounded within minutes. Many of them hadn't even cleared their front line. Yorkshire unit just up there as well. Beyond that, Gomcourt, where my great-grandfather was a commanding officer. That was appalling casualties suffered up there. And then we go to the other side of this monument. Here we go. There's the spiral staircase I had to take. It's pretty high, and I was a bit breathless by the end of it. That's down there towards the villages of Mametz, Fricourt, where on the first day of the Somme there were also appalling casualties. And you can see the landscape's just dotted with these little cemeteries, like that one there. No, there were no Americans at the Battle of the Somme because World War I until 1917. This is a battle fought in July 1916, so no Americans. There were Newfoundlanders here. There were Newfoundlanders, and eventually there would be Australians, New Zealanders, nations fought here as well. That is where all the VIPs are going to be. All along the front line they blew mines here, 11 small mines and 2 enormous ones. The 2 enormous mines had a combined explosive force around 100,000 pounds of high explosives. So they basically filled tunnels under the German, so just one of the famous ones is just up there, and they filled tunnels underneath the German front line with enormous amounts of high explosives. They blew them sky high, created these enormous craters in the ground. But they blew them up 10 minutes before the infantry attacked, allowing the Germans to get in position and occupy the craters before the British could occupy them, attack them. What happened? At 7:30 in the morning, the whistles blew, and the infantry attacked in long waves, men walking together, walking across the battlefield, heavily laden down. It had been a wet June, so the ground was sticky. And what they discovered in no man's land out here, right almost where I am, but a little bit further than I am now, they discovered that the German barbed wire was uncut, so they were advancing against uncut barbed wire, and they were advancing against German defences that hadn't been destroyed by the shelling. The British had dropped 1.5 million shells on these German positions, and it didn't destroy the German positions. They were buried down deep in chalk. I've got a series of podcasts on this if anyone wants to watch, on History Hit. Go on to podcasts and look at History Hit, and there's a series of podcasts this week. I'll be broadcasting from the rest of the week up here, and if anyone wants to follow me, please do. It'd be great to see you and great to answer any questions. If you've got any questions while I'm here at the show you this scene. About 150,000 British and Newfoundland troops were involved on the day. Of them, 60,000 were killed or wounded. 60% of the officers were killed, so the troops were often leaderless, sheltering in these shell holes, hiding in no man's land till they could crawl back to their own front lines that night. Where am I? I'm a place called Thiepval on the Somme in northern France. This is the Thiepval Memorial, guys. It's 45 metres high up here, 45 metres above the battlefield, and it's a monument to the 73,000 men who were missing in the Battle of the Somme. 73,000 men who were killed but have no known grave. Did anyone survive? Yeah, lots of people survived, but we're told of lieutenant colonels gathered in front of their battalions for parades, church parade, when they all get together to go to church, weeping in front of the men because so many of the men had been killed. It was the heaviest bombardment in history, the bombardment leading up to the Somme. Anyway, guys, all the very best. Follow me on Instagram and everything. I'll be putting up pictures. I'll be doing all sorts of stuff. Always great fun doing this. See you later. Bye-bye.